Hello and welcome to the Internet Nook. Today we are going to be talking about shape. First, I'm going to cover the topic of 2D and 3D shapes. 2D shapes are when the object or pattern we are painting are flat and it has no depth. This would include a triangle, square or circle. In the outside world, not much doesn't have depth unless it's a drawing or perhaps a reflection. A 3D shape is when an item has depth. This could include a cone, cube, sphere, or ball. In the outside world, most items are 3D, like a cup, paintbrush, or notepad. Now I'm going to show you a technique to create a 3D object. Start by drawing a cross with a wider cross section and add small stoppers to the end of each of the lines. Create another cross section further up the page. Connect the side stoppers to each other with a faint line. These lines are the edges of your cylinder. This framework gives us the idea that the shape is 3D. And we can turn the cylinder into whatever we want. For example, I'm going to turn mine into a watering can. When adding shade or adding colour to 2D objects, it can be as simple as using a block colour. Adding colour or shading to 3D objects, however, often needs a gradient, a change in the lightness. This introduces the idea that the object is being lit, and so some parts of it are in direct light and others are in shade. When drawing a 3D image, try making an arrow at the corner of your page to remind you where the light source is coming from, so all the lit areas of the objects in your paintings are on the same side. Now we are moving on to the topic of observation. When painting items, we may notice we always use the same shapes for objects. Perhaps you like a certain way of drawing leaves. But to further your art, you could try observing the different shapes around you. Not all houses are square with a triangular roof. Not all leaves are a teardrop shape. Here are some more examples of leaves to further this point. Some leaves look like bay leaves, but maple leaves have more points. Eucalyptus are circular and chestnuts are very large and oval shaped. Natural spirals. In nature, spirals of snail shells and some vegetation use the same growing pattern, and it's called the Fibonacci curve. This is how you draw a rough Fibonacci spiral. Using square paper would make your Fibonacci much neater than mine in this example. Draw a small square and a similar one next to it. Then, as if you have folded the paper, double the squares, then again and again, working around the original square. Finally, connect all the squares by drawing a curve that connects with all of the square's points. Now we can turn this curve into a house for a snail or a sea creature friend. Using shapes to draw. Many people refer to this technique as drawing items as if they were made from origami, the Japanese art of folding paper. Here we can use 2D shapes, as aforementioned, to create creatures. Here I have made us a cat. Now let's make her a geometric snail as a friend. Have a play with these shapes and see what animals you can create. Using shapes in abstract ways can produce pattern art. Here I am drawing lots of circular spirals inspired by log stacks in the forest. As a second example of this, I am going to draw a series of zigzag lines across the page, inspired by mountaintops. Repetition of simple shapes can be a powerful way to create an image. Finally, a note for minimalism. Try producing a handful of abstract and simple shapes and colour them from a similar colour palette. Finally, use these shapes that you have produced to make a minimalist piece of art. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay cozy.